So I got this DM a few days ago. You can pause to read it. It's somebody asking me to expand on the bear versus man in the woods thing. So he's been avoiding women in public since around 12. Says when he does interact, he always tries to compliment, but in like a non-creepy way. But this whole situation makes him feel lesser. It doesn't make him feel good about anything. And he's having a hard time confronting this idea of the blanket men are grapists or unalivers or whatever. I've already done the man versus bear breakdown. Like I've done like 2 videos already. I don't need to do another one. But this is another kind of question that I get asked all the time. This question is basically, I feel guilty about all of the men who do terrible things. I feel guilty about the fear that women are facing, and I feel bad because women are creating this blanket idea of men just being terrible. He feels like he's being called like a monster or a bad person, and that doesn't feel good for him. I get tons of variations of this idea of it doesn't feel good when we get called a grapist or when we get called an unaliver or whatever. And this is the clearest that I can make this. All right, you ready? Nobody calls you that. Nobody's calling you that. That's not a thing that's happening. You, individual guy watching this video, nobody's calling you that. You haven't been called that. Nobody thinks you unalived anyone. You are feeling guilty on behalf of people who actually did that stuff. When someone says men built this house, you don't think they're talking about you building it. When someone says men stole my car or killed my dog or whatever, you don't think they mean you did it. When people say men built society, if you didn't build shit, they're not talking about you, right? Understand the difference between you as an individual man and men as a collective or concept. You are not men. You are one guy, one man. That's one thing. Here's another. This idea that women as a collective are saying men are grapists or unalivers or whatever, that's not a thing. That's not a real thing that's happening. That's not pushed by women. That's not pushed by feminism. That's not being pushed by anyone. If you were to look up feminist ideals or what feminists believe, that's not one of them. That's not nothing like that is in there. This is what I was talking about in my last man versus bear video. If a woman says, I don't feel safe around men, a man can translate that to, oh, you just hate all men and think we're all grapists. And then he'll go telling other people that that's what she believes. That's what actually happens. It doesn't make sense to genuinely believe that women think all men are assaulting them. My following is like 90% women on like every platform. Why would that be the case if they thought I was a grapist or an unaliver? I take spicy photos for a living. That is my job. Shameless plug. If women thought all men were terrible, I'd be out of work. This is what actually happened. This is how we got here. Follow me. Women get assaulted all the time, and overwhelmingly, the people doing it are men, right? Last time I checked the stats, it was like 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 women getting assaulted, and like 98% of the time, it was a man. Women say, hey, this is an issue. This is a huge issue. We don't like this. We don't feel safe. Men respond with, oh, it's not all men doing it, and men get assaulted too, so it's not really that much of a problem. What can you do? So women were like, wait, so y'all just not gonna do shit? Like, who cares if it's not all men? It's too many of them, and y'all just letting this shit happen? People, they getting away free? Or they getting a slap on the wrist? Like, Bill Cosby is free right now. Women were like, oh, no, it's not all men, but if you're not gonna help, if you're gonna allow this to continue to propagate and continue to be an issue, if you're complicit in it, then you might as well be part of the problem. You're part of the problem. So at that point, it is all men. Even if it's not all men actually physically doing it, it's all men contributing to the system that allows it to take place and allows people to get away with it. So at that point, who are the safe men? Women don't know. Like, this could be the grapist. This could be the guy who would allow her to get raped if he didn't get what he wants. This could be any of you know what I'm saying? This man could be any cog in the machine that allows me to become a victim. As a result, they don't feel safe around men. That is the logical way to feel given that situation. But men heard these complaints, men heard this reasoning, and rather than address the issue of men doing these violent things towards women, they were like, oh, you guys are saying that all men are grapists, all men are unalivers, well, now we really don't want to help you. That was never what was being said. That was not the message being pushed. But it's easier to argue with women about that than it is to check your fellow man about the weird shit that they say. The weird, very sus jokes that your homies make. Y'all should see some of the deleted tweets that have been cropping up from Drake and Metro Boomin. They've been saying some crazy shit. If she's 16, I'm 16. Like, really weird shit. That's how we got to the bear over the man situation. If 1 in 5 women were mauled by bears, we would have fixed that. We would have taken care of that. But oftentimes women get assaulted and then they get blamed for it. People don't believe them or don't care. But back to the original question, you shouldn't be feeling bad or guilty or lesser than because of the actions of others. That doesn't make any sense. I am aware of all of this shit and I don't feel bad or personally responsible whenever a man does some fucked up shit. You feeling guilty doesn't help anybody. You feeling lesser than doesn't help anybody. And nobody's trying to make you feel that way. If you make an effort to not perpetuate the shit yourself, if you make an effort to call out your homies when they perpetuate the shit, that's all you really can be asked to do. Be part of the solution. You don't have to save the world, but just be part of what makes it better. I'm not trying to save the world. I'm not trying to fix every problem. I do a little bit. I make these videos. I talk about what I see, what I've observed, and I hope that it helps somebody heal or feel validated or feel better or learn or become part of making the world better. Stuff like that. And if it does, then that's great. And if it doesn't, then I tried. But I'm not trying to put the weight of the world on my shoulders and then feel guilty when I'm not able to fix everyone's problems. So don't worry about that shit. You don't have to feel lesser than because of other people being a problem. That's not for you. Just treat women like regular human beings and you're fine. It's not a difficult ask. I hope this helps. I will see you guys in the next video.